Unable to find support, the young man had no choice but to accept a humiliating job, taking care of pigs. For a Jew, this was the lowest job imaginable, as pigs were considered unclean animals according to the law of Moses. Worse still, he couldn't even eat what the pigs were eating. Luke 15:16 describes his desperate state. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. This moment represents the lowest point in the prodigal son's life. His pride was crushed and his self-sufficiency shattered. However, this was also the beginning of his transformation. Sometimes God allows us to reach our lowest point so that in the midst of darkness, we can see the light. Have you ever experienced moments where you felt like the prodigal son, trapped in a desperate situation? If so, how did you find your way back? Let me know in the comments. But this story doesn't end here. What follows is a brilliant picture of grace and restoration that you won't want to miss. In the midst of his desperation, something began to change in the heart of the prodigal son. Luke 15:17 marks a turning point. When he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death." That phrase, "and came to his senses," is powerful. Until that moment, the young man had been blinded by the illusions of the world. But in the darkness of his circumstances, he began to see clearly. Sin confuses us and distorts our perception of reality. It makes us see bad as good and the temporary as permanent. This happened to the prodigal son. When he was at home, he looked outside and saw a world full of promises. But now, in the pig pen, he began to see things as they really were. He realized that even the hired servants in his father's house lived better than he did, a legitimate son. Curious to see what happens next? Tap here to continue the story.